Hi everybody, welcome to Do You Believe? Tonight I have an absolutely fabulous guest. You're watching ParanormalZoneTV live on YouTube. Archbishop Ron Feyl is joining us tonight. I am so excited to have him back. Let me tell you a little bit about our guest. Archbishop Ron Feyl, Enright, Chief Exorcist, who founded the Order of Exorcists, international ministry with the members in 24 countries. Archbishop Ronald Feyl Enright is a world-renowned exorcist with over 4 decades of experience in the ministry of exorcism. He has conducted thousands of confirmed demonic assessments and possession cases, earning him recognition across the globe among various independent Catholic jurisdictions. He is also the author of Diabolical Nightmares of Real Cases in Demonic Possession, told by the Exorcist. Now, on the underneath the video, the description of our video, there is a link to where you can purchase the book and also the Order of Exorcists. So tonight, let's welcome Archbishop Ron Feyl Enright. Hey, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's been some time since we've been on last, and so I'm really happy. I'm happy to see you and happy to be on your show.
Oh, thank you. I always love having you on the show. We've done about 6 shows, and each one of them have been absolutely fabulous. Now, tonight, you're going to be talking about some of the cases from your book. And we had just talked before the show. Tell the story that you were going to tell me to the viewers.
Well, this is such a very short story. It's not really, this one's not in the book, but it's actually happened 2 days ago. It's interesting when you've done this for so long, and I've done this for a very long time. These demons, they seem to gravitate around you, and as a result, you know, they're always making sure that I'm aware of their presence, and I am, because they actually do things like move things or knock things over or things of this nature. Anyway, I have this new podcast that's coming up, which I'll be doing, and what I was doing was I was rehearsing. I was basically talking about how it all came to be and so on. And as I'm talking, the first 2 minutes, as I was talking, the audio was hijacked. That is, I was no longer in control. Instead, a sound came out. The sound was you could tell it was a definite sound that was in English, but the English was muffled to a point, and you could hear the shushing sound. There was shushing sounds like from both sides of the room. As I was talking, it just simply hijacked the whole process from the very beginning. And so as a result, I said, wow, I couldn't believe it. But anyway, that's just one of the many things that happens in the daily day of a chief exorcist who has this organization, who are members, wonderful people, who are clergy, bishops, priests, and lead investigators. We respond to people who have demonic issues. They call us, and then we see who's available, what team, what assessment team we could send out to do the first contact, and then we decide as to how we could proceed. This is an interesting story. This happened a few years ago, a few years back. I always would be contacted by Skid Row hotels in Los Angeles. I'd be contacted by the management, sometimes even the owner of one of 2 very large Skid Row hotels. He calls me almost every couple of months because he has issues. And his issues are not with himself. His issues are about his tenants. Apparently, his tenants are giving him problems. And these are the tenants that actually pay to be in this rundown Skid Row hotel, but it's the only place they could afford, so they pay for, a week at a time, and something weird started happening. People started checking in to this hotel, and they would stay, they would be present for about a day or so, and then all of a sudden, even though they paid for a week, they would disappear. That is, there would be no sign of them, no trace of them. All their belongings would be left in the hotel room. Okay, now everything they own. Most of these people that go into these hotels, they're indigents. So everything that they own is on their back or in their backpack. So when they leave everything behind and only stay a day when they paid for a week, something is up. Now, if this just happened once in a while, it's going to be a different story. But this is happening and was happening according to the manager, telling me that this happens almost every other day. Now this hotel has over 200 rooms. It's a big building. And so people come in, and they sometimes the DPSS, the general relief, they pay for the voucher. They give them a voucher, and they turn the voucher into the hotel management, and and it's good for a week. Well, these people are starting to disappear, and with no trace. All their belongings are left behind. Everything is left behind. And so the manager say, what the heck? The manager doesn't care because, he cares, okay, to a certain degree, that is. But he's been paid in advance, okay? but still, it's a mystery where these people are disappearing to.
Oh, my God. Well, did you ever find out?
Yes. What we normally do is we send a team of investigators who are trained, and they've gone through my training, where they do an analytical assessment. In this case, I wanted to be part of the team. I had to go because the story was so intriguing. I've been normally called, or at least I'm not exaggerating, over so many years I've been called maybe thousands of times to these various Skid Row hotels. But this was the first time that I've ever heard of this story where people were disappearing. And that is, there was no trace, but all their belongings were left behind. And again, these people are indigents. That they have nothing except what they bring into their room. And when they leave everything they own behind, something is wrong.
Oh my
So
God.
I had three of my very trusted investigators with me, and they've been with me for years. They went with me, I was there, and so there was four of us all together. We walked into the hotel, and as soon as I walked into the hotel, it was weird. It was like the air was so heavy. It was like we were being pressed. The air was pressing our bodies, and we could feel the pressure. It's like if you're in deep water, and the pressure, the pounds are just being pressured in. As we walked in, at least that's what I felt. So I felt this pressure all around. The other guys didn't say anything, but I felt it. And so as we walked in and we waited for the manager to come down, the manager came down and he said, screaming to the top of his lungs, he says, it happened again. He said, this guy just checked in and he got all this stuff and he just disappeared. I left him in the room for a second. I turned around and went in there and he was gone. Well, at first I said, when he called with this interesting request for my assistance, I was going to tell him, I think you're calling the wrong person, the wrong services. I think you need to call some legal services or missing person services or something, even the police. Why would you want to call me? And then when he explained, I had to come down and see for myself. My investigators were really cool about it. They walked in, they were taking, they had their iPhones, everybody has a camera, so everybody's taking pictures of the whole, and the hotel was built at the turn of the century. It's a very old hotel. If I told you the name of the hotel, you would know it right off the bat. So we went into this. What's really interesting about this is they have like 200 rooms, about 14 stories high.
Wow.
Okay, so it's a big building.
Yeah.
And everything always happens on the 9th floor. Now, people are disappearing not on the 10th, not on the 11th, not on the 2nd or 3rd floor, but they're disappearing on the 9th floor. So on one floor, they're disappearing. Okay, they check in. They register at the desk, they get their key, they go up to the room, and they leave all their belongings, and then something happens to them. What happens to them? Big mystery. So we had to figure out. So I kind of put on my Sherlock Holmes hat, okay, and and decided to go in there and kind of like see if I could figure out, what exactly took place. And if our services are even needed, because this sounds like it's a very weird situation, but why would you need an exorcist? Why would you need an organization such as ours? But anyway, going past that, okay, I've had my investigators, they were checking the room. Interesting. Their belongings were all, the people who left their belongings, they were like, and I don't want to sound condescending or anything, but I'll tell you, all their belongings had a terrible odor. Very, very terrible odor. Even the clothes they left behind had an odor. Of course, that's maybe that's a typical thing, for a transient or an indigent to be on the street, homeless and so on, and pick up these odors. But this odor was really very familiar. It was the odor that you would smell if you walked into the county, the coordinary office, the medical examiner office. You walk in his office, and you see these bodies laying on these stretchers, and there's a smell. There's always a smell in the room. And it was that kind of smell that was in the clothes and everything and all around, all their belongings. It was that horrible, horrible smell.
Damn.
And so the first thing that I do is find out why. Why is everything in the condition it's in? Because everything was like thrown around as if he just threw everything in his room and then poof, disappeared. And so we did some investigating in regards to the room, and it was just the one room, by the way, the one room that people kept disappearing. So this one room on the 9th floor, people would check in, they would drop their belongings, and for some reason within 24 hours they would not be seen again.
Oh my goodness. What was the room number? Do you remember?
I can say it. I don't know if I should.
Well, we don't
I try
know.
to keep everything confidential. But let me put it this way. It was. Let me put it this way. It was 3 numbers, and the 3 numbers were consistent with each other. I don't think I should tell. I should say the
666.
I'm not gonna acknowledge that. So I'm not gonna tell you what it is.
Come on. Wait a minute. You didn't tell us the name of the hotel, so we have no idea what hotel you're talking about.
Well, it's actually true. Okay, let me get back to the number of the hotel. Let me think about that first.
All right. Okay.
Okay, so we're in the hotel. Okay, we're taking as much information as possible, and then with the information, okay, after interviewing the manager, and we knocked on a couple of doors on the same floor, and they kept saying that they only heard lots of yelling, screaming, and banging in the room. The neighbors on both sides of the room, that's what they were saying, and then all of a sudden it would just dial down to silence, like total dead air, and there'd be no sounds whatsoever. So the sounds would just simply occur when they that very first few hours they were in the room, and then poof,
and they're gone.
So the neighbor, there's a neighbor across the hall that's been there for years, and he says this has been happening for a very long time. And I said, really? I said, well, how long is a very long time? You mean like past year or so? He said, well, I've been here for 20 years. And this was going on since I checked in. People from across the hall would make all kinds of noise, and then they would just disappear. You wouldn't see them again.
Oh, my goodness.
And so this got more and more intriguing. And then I decided to what we need to do is we need to do just a simple stay over. And it's just kind of like sit there, watch everything, and just stay, camp out, if you will. And that's exactly what we did. And it's interesting because when we did, you could hear the screams and hollers throughout the hotel. It's a Skid Row hotel. You're going to hear noise like that, okay? And that's to be expected, I suppose. But when you hear these sounds that are only coming from that one floor, it's kind of interesting. It's kind of weird. In our research, we found out that during the turn of the century and when the stock market crashed, there was quite a few people that jumped out of that window.
Oh.
And they have documented the stock market crash back, in the turn of the century, and people were depressed. And of course, if you check into hotels like that, you already have a black mark on you anyway. You're like you're hanging on the end of your rope, and this is it. And if you have depression, or if you're a drug addict, an alcoholic, or you feel suicidal, all these are traits of what we refer to as demonic oppression. Mm-hmm. When there are demonic entities in the area, and they're there, and they're just simply, around, waiting for someone to be a victim. Unfortunately, most people who are drug addicts and alcoholics, they've lowered their defenses, and they're open to all these things, and they're not even aware of it. It's like the demonic places a seed deep into their subconscious mind, and they think that their negative behavior is actually part of their natural thinking, when it was actually placed there by something very, very, very dark. Anyway, that was the history of the hotel. That was the history of the ninth floor and the room. The room would get terribly cold, even in the summertime. It would get cold, and even the whole hotel would be warm, but that one room would remain cold. The screams would always come out, and it always happens only when someone checks in. When someone checks in and they are assigned that room and they go to that room, it's only in that room that the screaming and hollering begins, and then soon after they physically disappear.
And they never found them. Never found anybody.
What we did was we contacted the Central Division of the police department, and just to find out, if there's any record of people actually disappearing. And apparently there have been. Not only in that hotel, but in a number, at least a dozen hotels down there, where people would jump out of the window and die. But you see, their bodies, you would think the bodies would be on the ground and it would be visible, but for some reason, there were no trace of the bodies. And it's like a really, really interesting scenario when you think about it. I mean, I can think of so many things that may have happened at the time. Maybe there was a vortex, in the room, and maybe it was a dark vortex where dark entities were coming out and dragging people in. Yeah. Well, that would explain it. That would be explained. Why there isn't a body. Whatever's pulling them into the vortex wouldn't care about their clothes or their belongings. They just want the person and to pull in. I mean, it's just the hypothesis. But if you think about it, it's a real possibility. There are vortexes I've witnessed and been and actually felt the surface where a vortex was actually located. And why not? The room has 4 walls, a ceiling and a floor. The vortex could be on a wall, could be on the ceiling, it could even be on the floor. And just think, if you walked into a strange room and you kind of felt kind of funny, especially when you're feeling the vibrations underneath your feet and you have no idea where the heck that's coming from. Who knows? Maybe you're standing on a vortex, and maybe it's at that particular time that you need to move. I do visit hotels quite often, especially in the way back in the day. We were doing exorcisms, and we're 3-4 a day, every single day.
In hotels?
In hotels and also single dwelling houses. But in rundown areas, let's put it that way. And it seems like all the negative energy just gravitates in these areas where people are, at the end of their rope, and so many crazy things could happen.
Was that the only hotel that you investigated that the people went missing?
No, that's the only one that people were missing.
And then just in that one room. Well, did they ever think about putting a camera in there to see what was going on?
We put a camera in there.
You did?
And nothing happened. checks in, but one of my investigators was very uncomfortable with the idea, because if something was to happen, such as disappearing, he has a family and doesn't want to take a chance. He knows the reality of these things. They do happen. People can be skeptical, okay, and may not believe things, and that's normal. But you start believing when you actually witness these things, when you see people becoming something else. And when I say something else, different in appearance. And there's so many things that could fall in those lines. So my investigators, at least the one, he wasn't comfortable staying overnight and having a camera and just sitting there.
Wait a minute. Did you stay in that room? Did you stay in that room?
I wanted to.
Oh, but you didn't.
No.
Did you stay close by, like maybe in the next room?
Actually, to be honest with you, we were on the 8th floor. We didn't want to take a chance. I mean, heck, come on. I can't stay. I mean.
Oh my God.
So anyway,
okay.
We wouldn't even consider the 9th floor. But in any case, we wanted to do that, but we didn't get that far.
Totally understood.
And so, when we left, we did what's referred to as a house blessing, and we blessed all the rooms on the 9th floor, including that one. And I don't know. I haven't heard from the guy.
Oh, you haven't?
In a long time, so I don't know what's happening in that hotel.
Well,
I do know that the 9th floor is definitely off limits for anyone who knows the story. I wouldn't go there.
Holy cow! Well, why does the guy keep renting the room out when he knows people disappear?
Well, there's a number of reasons. The hotel is always between 89 to 90%, 85% full at all times, and for some reason, the 9th floor seems to be very desirable, especially the strangers who don't know what's going on. And he's not always there. He has desk clerks and so on. The manager of the hotel only checks by every so often, I assume. But the desk clerks, they don't care. And so they make the room is it's there and it's available, and as a result, they don't see any issue with it.
Did anybody possibly know about the disappearance in that room on the 9th floor and want to stay there? And they did stay there and disappear? No.
The only people that were really aware of the story, the people that live in the hotel. Everyone knows about the 9th floor. The people who live on the 9th floor, they've been there for years, and they kind of come to accept certain things in life. And, that hotel has a history of a lot of strange things happening. And I could tell you another story, but I have some more stories to tell you about haunted dolls.
Oh, yeah.
So I want to drift into that, if I may.
Okay, go.
But I could talk about this all night long, because there are so many hotels. Out of the 200 Skid Row hotels, I believe I've hit every single one of them with demonic infestation, where the demons are all over in every single room, where there's a demonic possession happening at least every month somewhere in that hotel. And there's lots of hotels like that. There are people that have famous cases, I should say, that have been reported and on the news. People, when they find bodies of individuals, this poor girl, dismembered and in a water tank
oh my God! It's the Cecil Hotel. You're talking about the Cecil Hotel. We know. We already did a show on that. We know this. You mean to tell me it's okay? Okay, you don't have to answer. So, okay.
Put it this way, everything is so confidential. Yeah, when these things happen, and we get. I laugh about it because I have to keep that humor up. When you're dealing with dark things all the time, If you don't, you might wind up in some loony bin. You have to look at it in a positive sense. But the people who are the victims, they're suffering. They're going so much torment. They're being mutilated, inside and out. You can see their suffering. You can see that that they're just a corpse, a walking corpse. And they not only smell, they even have the appearance. It's very horrible, and the family has to go through it. And everyone who knows them, they go through the whole traumatic thing. It's horrible. It's terrible, and that's not funny. I mean, that's serious. Okay, but I can tell you that because of all of that, I still see things. Okay, this past week we had 5 exorcisms this past week. Okay, I'm semi-retired. I've been saying that for a long time.
Yeah, I know.
I'm semi-retired, but I still have people that contact me. They use my website. What I did a couple of years ago, I had this epiphany that I'm going to, since I can't take care of everyone myself, and I have all these teams all over the place around the world, literally. What I could do is, instead of them coming to me and then me, assigning different cases, which I still do, I decided to come up with the very first and only international referral directory. It's on my website, and the main page, you should scroll all the way down, you'll see my members, you'll see their phone numbers, you'll see their email address, you'll see the city, town, and country they live in. And if anyone has demonic issues and they feel they need to call somebody, they can come to our directory. Our directory is, as I said, on my website, and they can do that. However, I have a lot of people that still email me with their issues, and what I do is I contact all of my active members, and I alert them and let them know that this person has just requested our services, and if they're available in the area, if they can help them reach out, do something to help them, and hopefully with God's blessing, you're able to deliver them, drive the demon out, do a ritual, but first, after you do the assessment and all that stuff, which is very important.
Okay.
So in other words, the victim can go directly to our website and go down, scroll down, and look at our directory. And if they see a clergy member, I have bishops on there, priests, I have investigators, I think I have 2 demonic profilers that are on there. They could go to my website and they could literally look up these individuals and call them directly. And especially if they're in their city or town or, close by, they can just call them and they can have a direct contact. So I'm trying to eliminate the middleman, which I guess that would be me. But I still, even with the directory, I still have people calling me, and this past week we had five people who were requesting an exorcism, which of course requires an assessment first.
Oh yeah. So
I sent those out to my members this past week, and I always send out I cut and paste their request, so they know what the issue is, what the detailed situation is, and then they can respond. And I have people who are part of my active group, and in Canada, across the country, of course. I have them in UK. I have them in Poland, the Philippines. I have them in Russia. I have them in South America. I have quite a few people all over the place in 24 countries. And so what we try to do is we try to continue God's work by operating our ministry of exorcism. Go
ahead and give them the website.
The website is www.orderofexorcists.com.
Yeah, it's underneath the video, but they're listening now, so I just thought you would give that to them.
Yes. Okay, now let's talk about toys.
Yeah.
Very special toys. Toys that we should not want to have any desire to own, even if it's gifted. You do not want any of these dolls, any of these toys. But even before I go into that, have you ever been to a thrift store?
Yes.
And you know that everything that you see in a thrift store was owned by someone else?
Correct.
You know that these are not new articles. They have been owned by somebody, which means that their energy, their personality, it has a residual on every item they had owned, especially jewelry. And jewelry is something you don't want to buy secondhand.
Especially antiques as well.
Especially antique. And I won't even talk about the antique furniture that you could get, but that's another story altogether. But you don't want to pick up any jewelry, especially other items such as toys.
So what's wait a minute now? So what's the difference between jewelry and toys?
Jewelry is normally worn by grown-ups, people who have lived their lives, who have all the frustrations in life. They have all the stress, and some of them are burdened with horrible demonic attachments. And when they pass on, those attachments are literally left behind in whatever they own in regards to jewelry, stuff that they have put on that's close to their skin, close to their very being. As a result, it generates all the darkness, all the negative energy is in those jewelry. Toys. Now there are adults who play with toys. I'm not one of them, but there are people who play with toys. But generally speaking, toys are played by people who are probably under 10, maybe under 12. Maybe, it depends, I guess. But I'm going to say, so the difference between jewelry and toys is toys are they're entertained and they're owned and they're played with by children. Because the jewelry is something different. So now you have a whole different area of things that you have to watch out for. Okay? Especially where Christmas is around the corner. Okay? I cannot emphasize enough to stay away from thrift stores when you want to buy someone a gift. Especially if it's a toy. You have no idea who owned that toy. You have no idea what the circumstances of that toy and where it's been, and the heartache that may be instilled in that object, into that toy. And as a result, there are lots of things that people have seen where the doll, and there are a lot of scary-looking dolls out there, especially antique dolls. People have witnessed and testified that they have seen the doll's eyes would move, their arms would move. They would leave the room and then come back again, and the doll would be in a different position or in a different room.
Yes.
So when that happens, I would say, hey, let's take our time about this and think about, do you really want to own that doll? Do you really want to have possession of something that could actually be possessed by some type of dark entity? I know I would. I know I would. Anyway, we were called, and this was, we have people that call us who are from all walks of life. And we also have, we have celebrities that call us. We have people who are very wealthy that call us. We go into these estates, and they're so huge, you get lost in them. You need a map to get from one end of the estate to the other. Well, we were invited by a very well-known, famous family that lives in this country. And they invited us, invite us is a wrong term, I should say. They begged us. So it's slightly different than invite. Okay, they begged us. They begged us to come because they were having some major issues. And mainly because what they suspect was happening in one part of the house, one part of the estate. And they begged us to come. And so, we tried ignoring the request. We tried to ignore it for at least a good 5 minutes, and then we said, no, we have to do it. And this was a thing. This was a special event because, well, these people were not only famous, but they were wealthy, and and all this other stuff. And I don't want anything dark to be attached to our particular ministry, especially if we become so selective that we won't service everyone, because we do, and all our services are free of charge. We never charge anyone. It's all part of what we do. So we were invited strongly, as they begged. And we decided, and we said, okay. So I decided to, now I did some inviting. I invited some of my clergy. To be exact, I invited 4 of my clergy. And one's a bishop, and the other 3 were priests. But I invited them to come with me. And all of my priests are investigators. They love paranormal investigating. They don't go out looking for it. They wait until someone calls us, and with some type of issue, some type of supernatural occurrence that took place, and they just want someone who is a clergy to be there and maybe to bless the house or do other services. But I invited my clergy to come with me, at least the 4 guys, and I think I had just one lady with me, and that was our camera person. So we went to the estate, and again, the first thing we noticed was the screams.
What?
There were screams, and there were not just screams.
Yowling? Howling?
They were scratching. No, they were screaming.
Scratching? Wait a minute. Where were they scratching? But wait a minute. Where were they? Where was the doll in this object? Where was the location in the house?
It was in the house.
In the house.
Echoing throughout the house.
So it wasn't in one certain room, like a bedroom?
It was in one place in the house, but you could hear the screams throughout the house.
Oh my.
To be honest, you could hear the screams from outside.
Oh my God.
And I mean, it was that loud. And that's where they were begging us to get to
come.
So the very first thing we did, of course, is we assembled outside the house, and we go through a protection ritual for each of our clergy and people who are with us before we walk into that type of residence. And I guess she was the housekeeper. She was like crying, and she was a mess. And she just said, "Please, you need to come upstairs. That's where the problem is." And she had a very heavy accent. I said, "Sure." I said, "Of course we'll do that. Since we came all this way, why not?" So we went upstairs. Okay, as we were going upstairs, long winding stairs all the way up to I guess it was the 2nd floor. And in the room, there was one room. And that one room, lots of noise, scratching, and screaming. And I'm not talking just screaming. I'm talking about from a high-pitched scream.
Oh my!
It'd be like, it's like horrible. It's like, anyway, and it was all coming from this one room. So I said, I'm going to open the door. And as I did, these guys are behind me. Of course they are. And so I opened the door. And poof, it just, no screaming. It was as quiet as could be. I mean, as soon as I opened the door, it was as quiet as could be. I couldn't believe it. Okay. Well, I couldn't believe it. But, we walked in. One interesting thing about the room, there were wall-to-wall dolls. Antique dolls. Apparently, these are dolls that have been in their family for generation after generation after generation. And the dolls were all over the place. They were on the walls, they were on the shelves, they were on the floor. I mean, it was like crazy. It's like, if you would believe the number of dolls, there were like, I don't know, at least a couple of hundred.
Wow.
I mean, so much so. I mean, the whole room was just full of dolls. And the interesting thing, and this room is in this estate. This room is probably, I don't know, about 1,000 square feet. I mean, it's a big room. Okay, so as we walked past the dolls, we noticed a really cute, I don't know if that's the right word either. We found a really interesting looking dollhouse. And this dollhouse apparently was enchanted. There were things happening in the dollhouse. And so as we approached the dollhouse, and the dollhouse is about 5 feet high. It's a big dollhouse, about 5 feet high, and maybe 3-4 feet wide. it's a child's playhouse. It has different rooms, different levels, and so on. And so as I approached that, I felt something really strange happening. It was like an itching sensation, and it was like my left ear was like really bothering me. It was like itching, and I said, well, "What the heck is this, all about?" And as I'm itching, I looked over, and then this other priest, he was doing the same thing. He was itching his left ear as well. I'm going, what the heck, We had no idea what that's about. But meantime, we're trying to put our attention on this dollhouse, and the ear just kept on, just an annoying itch. And then, as we looked into the dollhouse, you wouldn't believe what we saw.
Oh no, what?
Oh my gosh. Before I tell you that, let me tell you about the history of these dolls.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay, half of these dolls came from Europe. And the doll maker was a creative artist. He was very skilled, very talented. Before his time, he would do the details. You would not believe what he would do on these dolls. It's said that he developed a special skill overnight. And he was so skilled, such a craftsman, unbelievable. And the reason that it was like overnight, it's rumored that he cut a deal with the Dark One, with Satan himself, to heighten his abilities, to give him the ability to not only support himself and his family, but also to give him some fame, some fortune. And as a result, his creativity was just so enhanced. Again, this is speculating. I'm speculating, but this is what the rumor is. Based on the rumor, this is what I was able to get it from it. And so the person who crafted these dolls crafted each one especially, each doll with a special ingredient. And the ingredient was something awful, horrible. I mean, unbelievable. Apparently, before he became such an artist, developing these dolls, he was also a mortician. That was his profession. But he wanted to get away from that and make dolls and become famous and have all this talent and so on. So what he would do is, as part of his pact with the devil, if you will, and again, this is alleged, okay? Everything's always alleged. Even though there's so much proof of it and it's so obvious, but we have to say it's alleged. He would sprinkle the dust particles, or should I say ashes of people who have died, and he would sprinkle this in the doll. All these dolls are hollow, so he would sprinkle that as a base. And totally bizarre.
Oh my
sprinkle
goodness.
The ashes of deceased people. Now it's said that these deceased people were part of a cult. This was one.
Oh
and
my!
Part of a cult, and as being part of a cult, okay, their spirits were basically trapped in the dolls, and the ashes were just something to seal their soul or their spirit into the doll. So each and every doll that he produced was possessed, was literally possessed.
Oh my God! Did he?
But by this time, everybody's saying, "Oh, wow, that's too hard to believe." The thing about life is things that are almost impossible to comprehend, impossible to believe, can come true. And when they are, it's like half of the people in my organization are very skeptical until they actually experience a supernatural event where they see things levitate in the room, when they see things move by themselves. Okay, guess what? They become a believer almost immediately.
Absolutely.
Okay, the very best skeptics out there become true believers once they witness the supernatural. And it's my belief that every person in their lifetime will experience something supernatural. Hopefully it's not too dark. And when that happens, they become believers. Do you know that in the United States, they did a poll. In the United States, there is 70% of the population in the United States believe in angels.
Oh, they do?
They believe in angels. 70%.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, so it's not too much out there to to accept what I'm saying to be truth, because it is very true. People do the most heinous things, especially when they're given influence, given the abilities to be creative and to make tons of money and be very famous, you know, and this is like something that can really happen and happens, you know, not only in the United States, but, you know, worldwide. It's just incredible. The dollhouse, let's get back to the dollhouse. The dollhouse was really interesting because when you looked into the dollhouse, it looked like it was a replica of the room that we were in.
Really?
The one big one was supposed to be, I guess, the entryway as you look into the dollhouse. It was the room that we were in. And in the room that we were in, there were dolls all over the place. And guess what?
What?
In that room, there were little tiny dolls all over the place. And as a result, there was such a stench coming from the dollhouse. They were all panicking because the family members that lived in there, it's a house that was, I guess, was inherited over, you know, the generational house, and as a result, a lot of really bizarre things took place in that house. And
really?
As a result, there have been so many dark things. Now things started to levitate. We didn't see any levitations, but the family members were mentioning that there were always something moving and something levitated and moved from one side of the room to the other. And we didn't witness that, but that's, you know, what the scripture was. So we treated it so. It's interesting that the demonic can possess dolls, possess anything that, especially if it resembles a human being. You think about this, most dolls represent us. That is, they look like us physically. And they entice, you know, the younger people in regards to possessing one. Kind of play on words. So as a result, you know, you never know what you actually have. You know, it looks so innocent. I'm talking about a toy. It looks so innocent. Okay, you never know what's tied to it. You know, what dark thing could be in it. I believe that Satan could use anything. He could use anything to his advantage to target us, to either create a demonic oppression, demonic possession, which is very, very rare, but it does happen. When it happens, it's horrible, terrible. The poor individuals, they wish they were dead. That's the consensus for people who are possessed or who have been possessed. There's a point in their lives where they wish they could just be over with it. That is, you know, end it all, because the suffering, the pain, and everything that's negative goes with it. And we're talking about now dolls that are being used as a tool for Satan. I mean, it's kind of an interesting thought.
Yeah, it is.
This doll maker, who basically seeded every one of his creations and had them imported, and as a result, you know, you see these dolls scattered throughout the country. They're still out there. You can still buy them, by the way. You can probably buy them online, I wonder.
Probably.
I wouldn't do it, but I'm sure there are people out there who are saying, well, I want to own one. Heck, let's see what happens. Don't do that.
Hey.
You don't want to own anything that could possibly be possessed. I mean, especially if it's a toy. You don't want to do that. I mean, that's a strong. I would strongly advise not to.
How many of these dolls did they own? Of that particular doll?
That particular doll, there was over 200 of them.
They owned 200 of them?
200 of them.
So there was 200 of the ashes in all those dolls?
Yeah.
What?
The person was from Europe, okay, and apparently this is what he did. I don't know if it was like done in the 17th, 18th century, but then he brought all these dolls, and I guess their ancestors comes from Europe. They came here, and they extremely wealthy, and as I said, they're well-known, famous people, a famous family, and they have some interesting issues, though. You know, when you think about it, think about all the very wealthy of the wealthy people there's an interesting fact that comes along with that, and that is they probably have to experience life from a different perspective, where no longer, do they have to worry about where their next meal comes from. Instead, they might be entertaining other things, invite other things in their space. And as a result, I know for a fact that Hollywood is going through some major changes.
Oh, they are?
And, I don't know if you're aware of that.
Tell me.
Interesting thing, the actor Mel Gibson.
Yeah?
He went online and he gave an interview. And he talked about all the dark entities that are happening and all the dark, creepy, supernatural things that are happening in Hollywood. And that a lot of people in that community are very much accepting. They accept these things in regards to what's happening. And Mel Gibson is a rebel. I don't know. You know Mel Gibson,
Yeah, I know who he is.
Great guy. And he spoke out. He spoke out about these things. And he talked about a cocktail party years ago that he was invited to. And he was a young actor then. And he remember one of this individual was a producer. And as he walked through the crowd to get to Mel Gibson, he says that it seemed like he was gliding. He wasn't really walking. He was gliding through the crowds of people to get to actually stand in front of him. And so here he is in the presence of Mel Gibson. And Mel Gibson is listening to this man. And then for some reason they decided, well, let's take this conversation up. And they went up to the roof of the structure. And he was talking to him on the roof of the structure, and he says that something really dark took place, where he actually saw this dark individual, lift up. This was the producer of one of these movies, another very famous person. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting, and in fact, you could probably catch the interview on YouTube.
I think you sent it to me, didn't you? I think you sent it to me. Yeah, I think you did. I didn't have a chance to look at it.
Yes, I think I did.
Yeah.
I probably did. I thought it was really interesting. I had somebody contacted me last month, and on Facebook, and wanted to know if he could help in any way in regards to our ministry. And he identified himself as being Mel Gibson.
Really?
And I said, I went immediately to his page, and sure enough, he has all the pictures of Mel Gibson. Now, I don't know if it was Mel Gibson, but it's interesting. He communicated with me two separate times, and always saying, I love what you're doing. Is there anything I could do? And because my response is always, well, just keep us in your prayers,
Uh-huh.
It's, I love Mel Gibson, don't get me wrong, but anyway, when they put these blue checks next to, the celebrities' names, I guess that means that they've been verified, so maybe it's...
on X, you mean on Twitter? X?
Yeah, Twitter.
Yeah, they have to be verified.
It's Twitter or Facebook.
On Facebook, too?
Yeah, Facebook, too.
Oh.
Prince Charles. Okay, this is another one. Or is it King Charles now? He sent me a friend request. I kid you not.
Prince Charles?
In fact, there's a blue check by his name.
You mean he's the king now, King Charles?
Yes, King Charles. He's also a member in Facebook. I didn't know that.
No, me either.
Yes, I'm not kidding. In fact, after this, tomorrow, if I remember, I'm going to send you his link.
Okay.
So you can examine it. Apparently, it seems like he's the real deal. I mean, the real deal. That's amazing.
Wow. So what did he want?
I just want to know if he could help in any way.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
As for King Charles, he didn't offer any help. I think I probably would have accepted anything. But no, Mel Gibson's the one that said, offered help. But anyway, the king said no. I think he was just one of my followers and decided to,
Wow, that's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, yeah. Well, okay, so what did you do about these dolls? Did you have to, I mean, are the people keeping those dolls in the house, or did they get rid of them?
We got rid of them.
Oh, you did? How did you get rid of them?
I had my brave warrior priest collect them. We collected all the dolls. We even moved the dollhouse. We moved it, and then we had a big bonfire.
Okay, so it's okay to burn them?
If it's on holy ground.
Oh, okay.
The ground should be consecrated.
Oh, okay.
So if the ground is consecrated, that means there's actual rituals that are attached to that, where you could consecrate the ground.
Okay, let me ask you something.
Dedicate the ground to God, the soil, the actual location, and there's an actual ritual for that. You do that, and then you have these dark elements that you want to get rid of, and they're not really they're not produced in the light. They should be destroyed.
All right, so these demonic dolls are in the house, about 200 of them. They have attachments to them. Did any of those attachments go into the family or the people that were living there?
Yes.
Oh, they did.
Two of our priests also received got some really major attachments. And we had to actually pray over them, and we had to actually do a ritual for a week over these two. Because they handled the dolls, they carried the dolls, they placed them in there, they did all the dirty work.
Okay, what were their what signs were they showing that they were that they had this attachment had gone into them? What were their signs?
They started getting rashes starting from their ears and traveling down their neck and all the way down their body. Oh, it was like a rash. Looked like the skin was broken, just traveling all the way down. Now, if you recall, I was telling you about the itching sensation.
Yes.
Eardrums.
Yeah.
Okay, I started itching as well.
Oh.
But I did not suffer the way these guys suffered. These guys really suffered bad, really bad. And so, it took us a week of doing our spiritual ritual of praying, repetitious prayer, and anointing them. It was a long process. And that happens every once in a while when you are brave enough to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty and really do God's work. And sounds kind of corny, I guess. But anyway, it's true. I mean, not everybody can do what we do.
Oh,
God. We're called to do.
As a paranormal investigator, I would have loved to have gone to those cases with you. But I don't do it anymore. But if I was younger, I would have loved to have done that.
I still, from time to time, I will get a request to do something. If you want to come, I will invite you to come to one of our gatherings, okay? And that would be fine.
Oh, that's okay.
I said, that was the first honest thing I heard all night
now. Hey, did you know that they found that body? Remember the missing girl? Yeah. They found her, She was in the water well. The water, the tank. Okay, I just didn't know if you knew that or not.
I know. You wouldn't believe some of the things that I happen to know about. I know about the backstory about a lot of things that most people are not privy to, especially when it comes to things that are kind of hard to swallow, basically. And that all part of what we do. We're dealing with supernatural elements. We're dealing with things that most people would probably brush off and not even be aware of it until it happens to them. But then it's a totally different scenario. We talked about some people that we both know. People not only in my organization, but we have mutual friends who are clergy and who have delivery ministries. And I hold so much respect respect for them because I know what they're doing. Me in my old age, I'm not really doing much. I'm in front of my computer. I'm communicating with people from around the world who are having demonic issues. I'm talking to the clergy around the world. I'm basically mentoring at least a dozen bishops right now who are in this country. And it's all about, the ministry of exorcism and to be prepared for what's happening. And I don't want to be an alarmist and get everyone scared or anything, but I will say that things are going to get a lot worse before they get better. We're going to see a lot of darkness happen. The darkness of evil will be manifested in individuals, in people. You'll see a lot of darkness in places that you would never suspect. I see and I feel things are getting there. We're seeing things we've never seen before, and they're and it's happening right now. To a certain degree, it's even being accepted in various communities, and as a result, and you know what I'm referring to, I believe. There was somewhere in the Midwest, there was a big statue of Satan, and children are being encouraged to go to these various satanic worship educational places and stuff. I mean, that's happening in our country right now. It has been for the past decade, and now it's just becoming more and more visible in society, where we can actually see it actually happening. You can see that the darkness is recruiting our young people.
How is that happening? How are they doing this, though? What kind of darkness are you talking about?
I'm talking about the embodiment of demonic behavior and demonic possession to not what we refer to as a full possession, but actually where the darkness takes over the individual and their thought process is simply blown to a certain degree, where they start accepting the dark things in life. And then young people, and as they grow, they teach what they've been taught from the darkness, and Satan is recruiting. The darkness is recruiting our young people, and it's happening all over. If you look and read what's going on in this world, especially in our country, it's unbelievable. It's like a wildfire. It's going to get a lot worse, I'm sorry to say, and it has a lot to do with technology too.
Oh,
because now you could teach. You could give someone a graduate level education online. You don't even have to step into a classroom. Just think what a cult leader could do online in his teachings and in his recruiting, and the whole process. It gets very, very scary when you think about it. Now you not only have to worry about the invisible entities, but now you have to worry about the dark physical entities that are embodied in human beings, and who will recruit, where pedophilia becomes part of the norm, which is totally acceptable, where pornography in grammar schools is open. I mean, it's the school, Board of Education is also endorsing it. They're encouraging it. We're seeing pornographic materials in the kindergartens for first grade, third grade,
really?
all over the place. That's becoming part of reality. It's all part of our reality. So the darkness is really starting to take and stretch its black, dark substance all over us. It's all over in every city in the country. You can see it spreading. If you know what to look for, if you know what to do, then you could try your best not to be a target. But it's a little scary, because it's all part of reality. The whole sick, we might view as really being sick and somewhat blasphemy in so many different areas. It's actually becoming accepted in our society. There are people that accept these new things, and as a result, they're being influenced by demonic entities, and they don't even know it. Demonic oppression was it's like they are being darkness can get even darker as time goes on. And as we're seeing our society is really struggling. Those of us who are aware of what I'm talking about can attest to the fact that it's not getting any better.
Jeez, that's awful to hear.
It's disturbing, but it's true. And very few people talk about it because it's very disturbing. I mean, who wants to talk about disturbing things? Maybe an exorcist. Oh, yeah. Right.
Well, paranormal investigating is something that I don't agree with anymore. Stay away from it. There's no reason to conjure up spirits, you know.
And there are a lot of circles and a lot of people that do. A lot of people, they want whatever abilities they have, they want it enhanced. And one way to do it is to address the darkness.
Mm-hmm.
And, and remember, there's always a price that has to be paid. You know, there's nothing for nothing. You have to pay a price, and that price that you pay can destroy you and can put you in a terrible way. Thank God that there is a presence of light. There's a sliver of hope, but that hope is all over the planet. And hopefully the darkness will be put in its place in time. But right now, the demons, the demonic Satan is having a ball. They're having a wonderful time. They're using our technology against us. They're using all the airways of the internet, for example. Oh my gosh, they're recruiting hundreds, if not thousands, of young minds in various despicable things. And as a result, you know, you see kids that are armed and they're shooting their student, you know, all the students in the school or teachers and stuff. I mean, it's happening all the time. And,
Ron, they're calling it mental illness.
Yeah.
With all these shootings that's happening, they're calling it mental illness. Do you believe that that's the case, that it is mental illness, or is it something else?
No, mental illness is demonic influence.
Okay.
Demonic influence is what they do is they corrupt your way of thinking. And your way of thinking comes, of course, through the brain. And so as a result, there's an actual physical, chemical thing that's taking place in your brain. And it's being interfered by a foreign substance, which now is referred to as the darkness. So you have demonic oppression, where people are surrendering what they think is acceptable. They're surrendering themselves to what's being suggested, and it's all about the dark suggestions that are coming in, and so. That's what's actually going on. There's a level of belief that we have, and that we can accept that to a certain degree. But until you are actually a victim, if you have somebody in your family that has had a nervous breakdown, a mental breakdown, a psychological break, okay, the odds are something happened earlier in their life where they were either exposed or some kind of interference in their life that put them on that course. And then, of course, people will talk about, you know, about our thought process, the chemistry of the brain, things of this nature. All that can be altered by darkness. It could be done, yes.
Wow. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about?
Oh, yeah. Well, since we got all the fun stuff out of the way.
What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about our new podcast. I'm having a new podcast for the first time. It's going to start. Actually, it will be aired Saturday, and I'm going to have a panel of people that are involved and tied and connected to my organization. We're going to have an MD who's a psychiatrist. We're going to have a demonologist who is a very well-known individual. We're going to have a Catholic mystic nun. That's going to be interesting. We're also going to have a person who is a victim of demonic possession. And this person, it happens to be a very well-known podcast personality, also an entertainer, and also a holistic therapist. This person has a lot of interesting talent, and in that talent somewhere, the demonic was able to get through, and as a result, she found herself as a victim in demonic possession.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we're gonna have that show coming up. But what I'm really excited about is I could finally promote my book. Here it is, my book.
Oh, I have that on. Hold on for a minute. Yeah, there we go. I'm showing your book now with us. Yes.
And the guy back there is, well, you know who that is.
Oh my God, your book, the stories that you told us, that book must be, oh my God, I'm going to get it. I can't wait to read it. I think you have a Kindle, don't you? I read off of the internet. Yeah.
The Kindle is like over 200 pages.
Oh my God, I can't.
Okay, so, you know, you can read the first, I think read the first 15 pages or whatever. But yeah, you can read that. I outlined about quite a few interesting and true stories. I talk about, of course, the possessed dolls, and there's also another interesting story I can briefly tell you about.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Highlights, okay?
Oh heck yes.
Okay, it's about this forest. There was a I call it a forest, but you know I try to leave the names and places, locations out of it. But what it was a big park that had, you know, it was part of the something forest. Okay. I don't want to,
Okay.
I don't think it's going.
Oh yeah, come on,
Yeah,
tell us.
The Angeles Forest.
The who?
You know, the Angeles. It's a national place in San Bernardino.
Oh, okay, Angela, got it.
And there's a section of the park, calling it a park now, section of the park where it's known to be very, very dark and even enchanted, where they would give, they practice blood sacrifices. In this park, I think it is, the county of San Bernardino owns the park. They have for a very long time, but they were doing actual rituals, blood rituals in these parks.
Oh my goodness!
In this particular park, and as a result, the trees are off-colored because of all the burning that they would do and all the other residuals of skin elements that may be splashed and other, you know, biological chemistry that was splashed in these various areas where they had individuals where they would torture them, and then they would of course murder them, and so these stories are actually known. I mean, it's like you could probably find it anywhere these days. You know, you get a lot of the details about this. But anyway, we were invited. Again, I use that word loosely. We had been requested to go out and kind of explore the park, and so we went out as a group, and it was really not to do an investigation, not to do a ritual. It was just to see what was going on. And we noticed, before they got there, we noticed some very strange things were happening. All throughout the whole park, you could hear the birds, you could hear all the animals in the park. As soon as you walk into this little area of the park, you don't hear anything. There's no crickets, there's no living life. You can't hear anything. There's nothing there. It's just dead silence, which is very unusual. You can't even hear the wind blowing. I mean, it's just like dead silence as you walk in there, and it's just so creepy. It kind of reminds me of the place in New York City. In New York City, they have what is referred to as Washington Square. It's called. It's right next to. In fact, NYU is right there. Property of Washington Square.
Okay.
And that was a potter's field.
It was?
At one time, the trees that you see that are on the property, the lower branches are actually broken off, and these are where they used to hang people.
Oh.
And so, yeah, they would hang them there, and they would, of course, you know, the tree is still there. The tree's a couple hundred years old, but that's where they used to hang people and then bury them. And there's a part of Washington Square where you'll see the ground, and you'll see these very noticeable lumps, these bumps all over the place. And it's said that these are actual graves. And it's interesting because there's a playground right on top of these mountains, the hill mountains. It's really interesting.
Oh my goodness.
So I mean, in the forest, there's a lot of bizarre things that happen. Being Sicilian, we know about the mob. They love to carry bodies.
Yay for mob. Mafia.
So, the desert's a good place, where they, but in any case, the forest is just, it's an interesting place. Anything can happen. It used to say, if a tree falls in the forest, do you hear it? If you're not there, if you're not present, the tree really fall. And if you're not present to see the actual tree falling, who knows if it really happened, unless you're there and you witness the action, you hear the tree falling, you see it falling, you see it hit the ground, then you can say, yeah, I saw that. But if you're not there, what happens when the trees fall and hit the ground? Did they really fall? Mm-hmm. Was there really a sound? Who knows? It's like being in the kitchen and you open the refrigerator door and the light goes on. Uh-huh. And then you close the refrigerator door, and you don't know if the light is really off or not because you're not there to witness it. You like to think that you know. Like when you open the refrigerator door, the light goes on, close the door, it turns off. How do you know if it really turned off? Maybe it's still on. But since you're not there present, who knows?
That's a good one,
Who knows what's going on in your refrigerator? Anything can happen in your refrigerator, right? Yeah. So if you don't witness it, who knows? So a lot of things happen in the forest, okay, that you don't know about. And especially when it comes to these cults and blood rituals and so on. We went there, we found it very interesting, especially when we left. Because when we left, each of us had something to take back with us. And what we took back were these horrible, terrible, incredible memories of what took place a long, long time ago. Each of us had basically an impression as to what took place. Almost like I would call it vision, but it was an interesting supernatural thing that we all felt what was going on in that forest. And it's amazing, things that happen, and apparently even in your refrigerator, you have no idea unless you're actually there witnessing it. But when you leave something like that, you leave memories of the impressions that you receive from a place. And it's really kind of cool.
Awesome. Oh, God, you know what? We could sit here all night and listen to your stories. We love them. I was going to add, hey, that new organization that you're putting together, is that going to be live so we can watch it?
Yes.
Oh, well, where can we watch it?
It's going to be December 16th. Oh. And it will be 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time and 11 o'clock Eastern Time, something like that. If anyone's on Facebook, they can go on there and they can see we've been advertising it for the past week or so.
Oh, but where? What is it on YouTube? Where is it?
It's going to be on YouTube and all the other stations too.
Oh, okay. And make sure I'll post that. You post it. You can send me the link and I'll post it as well. The 16th is Saturday. I can watch it. I'll be home.
Yes.
I'd love to see that.
I would love for you to see it too.
That sounds really, really interesting. That's very nice. I can't wait to see that. Good job. Hey, Archbishop, thank you so much for being on the show tonight. It's always a pleasure. I think this is number 6. For those of you and the viewers, this is at least number 6 that I've had with the Archbishop. And each time, each show, and the last show that we did, he had just gotten married. And I'm telling you, I saw the biggest change in him I have ever seen. Because this is 6, and so the last one was the 5th. So the other 4 shows we did, he was so serious. He didn't smile. He was just, and then here comes the 5th show. He gets married, and oh my God, what a change. He was smiling through the whole show. I couldn't believe it. And so cute. You're laughing tonight. I love it. Just love it. There's been such a change in you since you got married. I'm so happy for you. Hey, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and your lovely wife. And anytime you want to come on, I'd love to have you on. They love your stories. So when you want to come back and tell us some more stories, we'd love to hear them.
I would love to be invited to come back because I love your show. I love you. I think you're fantastic. I think your show is fantastic. And
thank you.
I can't say enough. I think you're fantastic. So the show is fantastic.
Thank you. We love you. Thank you so much. And happy holidays to you. And you be safe. Good luck with your book. And send me the link because I would love to see that show. And I'll post that on Facebook as well. Okay?
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Good night. Thanks. Good night.
Good night now.
Thank you. Oh, God. Such a pleasure. He's one of my favorite. I've known him for a long time, and I just really like Archbishop. Anyway, so I'm so happy. I really enjoyed the show. I love to hear him. A funny thing is, Bill Bean had contacted me. So Bill Bean and Archbishop Ron Feyl, Enright, and Bishop Long. There's a couple of other ones. They all had this get together, and they went out and did a tour, and they had a live event, and it was an event, but it was live, I think. And so after that event, now it took Ron 41 years of accumulation of his stories, and he finally put everything in one book. I'm telling you, that book is probably really, really awesome, and I'm going to get the Kindle. I can't wait to hear the stories, but I wish he would talk about the stories to all of us as well. So you can buy his book on Amazon, and it's the link is underneath this video. But anyway, so he was there with Bill Bean. Well, I've known Bill Bean since 2012. I've known him for years. And by the way, Bill is coming back in January. So I think Bill was going to come because he also wrote a book on what Archbishop did on his exorcist cases. So Bill found out that Archbishop was coming on the show to talk about his book on these exorcism cases. So Bill sent me a message. He goes, "Hey Noreen," he goes, I wrote another book, but can we change the topic? He wrote a book on his life, but he said, I'll include some of those stories when we do the show. And I said, sure, that's fine. I just thought that was funny because anyway, I just thought that was funny when he contacted me. Anyway, so guys, thanks so much for joining me tonight. Oh, question for if you see it. Walk away, Renee. What question? What question did you have? Okay, so anyway, so I have Bill already scheduled. There is another show. I'm going to contact Paul Eno. I just love Paul Eno also. He is, oh my God, he's got so many stories. But there's a triangle. I forget the name of the Bennington Triangle, I think, back east. The town is scary. It's abandoned. It's real. It's going to be a good show. And of course, Serenity Jenny's going to come back for some more unsolved mysteries, murders, whatever. There's a couple of mysteries I want to do as well. And let's see who else is coming back. Dave. Dave Spinks is coming back. He wrote another book on West Virginia hauntings, so he's coming back. Anyway, I want to wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a very Happy New Year. Please be safe out there, And there's another COVID variant going around. I can't remember the name. It's something 1. So please be careful, stay safe, sanitize your hands. If you can, wear a mask even though you don't have to wear a mask. I can't remember, walk away Renee. I can't remember. I've had so many shows. I just can't remember if one of them said that. But when I have the show with Bill Bean, if you come back and join us, I'll see if I can take some questions and put that in the chat. My mods, Chipetary or Renee, will you can put it up in big caps, and maybe I can they can nudge me a little to take your question. So let me do some shout outs, and it was just a fun show. He laughs, he makes me laugh. And he's Sicilian, guys. Chipetary Renee, he's Sicilian. Okay, so let me do some shout outs. Chipetary and Renee, I love you two very much. And thank you for being here. Let's see, there's Sarah Claire, walk away Renee. Tallcross, my buddy from Scotland, my favorite place. I always wanted to go there. I probably never will, but I love it. And when I see shows and they're in Scotland, I love it. And I don't know what time it is. I always forget, honey, what time it is there for you, but you're always here. No matter what time I have a show, you're always here. Let's see, I am Alpha, Nicole Johnson. Okay, let's see, I'd have to go back. Oh, thank you. Oh, I've had all of them. Yes, and even the flu shot I've had. I just got a message from Ron, Archbishop. Let's see. Anybody else around still? Sheila Pelican. Thanks, Renee and Chip. You guys have no idea. You've been with me for so many years. Wow. It's just thank you. Anybody else want to shout out? I know there was a lot in here. I know Maria Amador, Maria, I can't remember Maria. Sandra. Who else wants a shout out? Cusp. I am Alpha, I have that. Lisa Scarrett. It's a really hard one, I have to go back. Lisa Scarrett. Yeah. Gregman. Unsolved Crimes. Andrew and Gnomes Trucking Express. Lully Tubi. Oh, Lully, I haven't seen you for a while. Nick Gomez. Gamers. Let's see, I'm trying to go back. Mau, something Libra, Scales. I'm really bad at this. Okay, I got Sandra. I'm trying to go back, guys, to see if I can pick up somebody. If you want a shout out, let me know. I'd be happy to do a shout out. I just want to thank you all so much for being here. I love seeing you. Oh, Mark Burchette. Okay. Anybody want to shout out? Evil Girl 71 rocks. Oh, you just found me after years. Well, what's the matter? If you were subscribed to me, you would get notification when I have my shows. So please subscribe. If there's anybody that is in the chat room or still watching, if you would please subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. And I love you, Tallcross. You're always there for me as well. Thank you. Oh, thanks. Well, subscribe and you'll get notified when we do a show. All right, so many gray hairs, Chipper. All right, so I'm gonna go. I missed the Raiders game. I have to catch up and find out what's going on if they lost. Niners. Anybody from California or my Bay Area, whatever, the Niners are playing on Christmas Eve, and we are going to watch it. We're going over my son's in-laws house. We're all getting together over there and we're watching the game, celebrating. Oh, King of Hucomundo. Okay, so I'll see you on January 4th, unless I do a show on a Saturday or a Sunday. Maybe Marcia, she had an operation and she wanted to do some more shows on, her tarot cards. So those are really easy shows to do, so I might do some of those before January 4th. I won't know until there's not that many more weekends before January 4th. Okay, so I'm going to go now. I love you guys so much. Happy holidays to you. And I'll at least see you on January 4th. Please come back and join us, okay? Thank you. Love you. Thank you so much. Good night, everybody. Thank you.